State on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil and Chris with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right, welcome in, everybody. Sports Talk Media Network, 2 best hours of your day. Everything else has just sucked today, but these 2 hours will be the best 2 hours of your day. Welcome in. Phil Kornblut coming to you from Bridgestone Arena in downtown Nashville. SEC basketball tournament day 1, halfway through. 2 more games to come, including South Carolina and Oklahoma in the final game scheduled for a 9:30 Eastern time tip after Texas and Ole Miss wrap things up in their game coming up tonight. Earlier today, it was Kentucky and LSU, pretty tight one. The number 9 seed Kentucky, number 16 seed LSU. Kentucky wins it with their $22 million roster, as has been reported. 87-82. Kentucky wins it. Kentucky led by 3 at halftime. Both teams shot 50%. And Owe led Kentucky with 23. Garrison had 17 off the bench, and Aberdeen had 16. McKinnon had a great game for LSU with 28. He was 11 of 17 from the floor. But LSU is done. Kentucky moves on. 87-82. Kentucky will play Missouri tomorrow. Then Auburn, if you ask Auburn's coach, this probably clinched a number 1 seed for them in the NCAA tournament. They beat Mississippi State. That's 12 beating a 13. 79-61. Bulldogs led at the break, 33-30. Bulldogs only shot 39%. Auburn shot 42%. Balanced scoring for Auburn. Overton had 22. Murphy had 15. Hall had 14. Hubbard, outstanding player for Mississippi State, led Mississippi State with 22. So Auburn wins and advances to play tomorrow. That's Chris Bergen joining us from the Berge Palace. He has no hoops. Matt Smith joining us from the Spectrum Center. I think they call it the Spectrum Center. Or is it the Bojangles Center, or is it the Time Warner Center, whatever they slap on the name of that building these days. He joins us from the ACC tournament. Earlier there, NC State beat Pittsburgh 98-88. Pittsburgh, a 20-loss season for them. Been a terrible year. State shoots 61% from the floor. Pittsburgh shot 57%. NC State had 6 in double figures, led by Copeland with 24. So they had a very nice offensive day. You score 98 points, you're going to have a very nice offensive day. Corrin led Pittsburgh with 27. And then Louisville held off SMU 62-58. Louisville playing without their best player, of course, the freshman guard, who is out, I think, for the rest of the season, at least for the ACC tournament. I think for the rest of the season as well. Louisville wins it. This was a 26-26 game at halftime, and Louisville wins it 62-58. 6-0 run for the Cardinals to close out the game of the last 2:28. And Conwell led Louisville with 16 points, and Woolley had 14 points, and Pierre Jr. led SMU with 17. Louisville shot 40% to SMU's 43. SMU hit 9 3-pointers. So SMU definitely one of those question mark teams now after losing first round ACC tournament in Charlotte. So welcome in. Lots of basketball to talk about tonight. Spring football as well. We'll have an edition of Chalk Talk tonight. Oh, yeah, Ellis Johnson demands cutting in on basketball tournaments to talk football. That's what he lives for. Disruption. That's why he's a great defensive coach. So we'll have that for you. Also comments from Clemson quarterback Christopher Vezina as he talked with the media earlier this week. So we got a lot of stuff for you, plus recruiting and some newsy notes to talk about and chew on as well. There are things out there happening I just don't like. Believe it or not, I just don't like. But before we get to Berge and Berge likes everything and I hate everything. That's what makes us
a good partnership.
Odd couple.
There we go. You're
the
Felix.
odd couple.
You would be Oscar, wouldn't you? I'll be Felix. Or is it the other way around?
I don't know. Let's welcome in the third hombre, Smitty, Matt Smith, who is in Charlotte. Welcome in. How are things in the Queen City?
Things are great in the Queen City. First of all, Felix was the fastidious one, and Oscar was the sports writing slob.
There we go.
No comment needed now. Draw your own conclusions. But, yes, Corn, I'm happy to be here in Charlotte. Fantastic weather. Maybe a degree hot coming in, but it's going to be real nice as the sun goes down here outside the arena. And then, as you mentioned, inside the arena. Now we're getting some of the field whittled down just a little bit. We had some of these classic matchups like SMU and Louisville here in Charlotte, just what you expect to see. And then coming up right behind me is Florida State and California, the game everybody has been anticipating since the bracket came out. But what you do have in Clemson is you've got a Clemson-Wake Forest matchup, so a traditional ACC matchup. I anticipate a lot of energy in the building. Wake Forest, it's win-or-go-home time, obviously. And even Clemson has a lot to play for because based on their RPI, I don't know, guys, what do you think? 8 line, 9 line? You don't want to go out in your first game, especially to a team like Wake Forest that I think is probably better than their record, but I don't know how the committee will see it, and you just don't even want to start flirting with play-in game territory.
Absolutely not. And keep in mind, we got two opposites here, Bergie. We got a Clemson team that lost to Wake Forest late in the regular season, and we got a South Carolina team that defeated Oklahoma about midseason. It was January 21st in Columbia, 85-76, one of the few high water marks for South Carolina in the regular season. That day, the Gamecocks held their own on the boards, out-rebounded the Sooners 36-35, and they also had a good day in the paint, 34 points to Oklahoma's 36. So they did a good job from that standpoint inside against Oklahoma, something that they have come up short in almost every other SEC games. The Gamecocks shot 52% in the second half of that game, had 9 threes, finished at 49%. They hit their free throws, 22 of 28. And leading the way in that win was, of course, Michi Johnson, who had 20 points, but 13 of those came from the line. He can get to the foul line, of course. And for Oklahoma, it was Xavier Brown with 22 and Tay Davis with 20. So here we go again. This is a very winnable game tonight, Bergie, for South Carolina, as it is for Clemson and Wake Forest. Your view on the two games, one here and one there?
I'll start with Clemson. I think Clemson probably needs to win this game. As Smitty pointed out, you're sitting at, I think their net ranking going in right now, the live net ranking is right around 36. So you're comfortable into the tournament. Now you're playing for seeding, and the longer they last, and I think tomorrow against North Carolina, should they get to that point, that is certainly a winnable game for the Tigers based off what they did in Chapel Hill just a week or so ago. Problem is you're playing North Carolina in Charlotte, so you're going to get about the same amount of calls that you got in Chapel Hill, and the ACC wants to see North Carolina Duke round 3 for the championship game. So certainly Clemson's going to have to play its A game if they get that far. But you lose today, Phil, and you start falling back towards that 8, 9, 10 line. And that's not where Clemson wants to be, I don't think. Now, from South Carolina's perspective, I haven't looked back at all their games this season, Phil, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say from a team perspective, that win over Oklahoma by far their best game of the year because all 5 starters scored in double figures. They shot the 3 ball, as you pointed out, pretty well. Got 9 threes and made their free throws. I mean, they did everything that Lamont Paris, I think, when he crafted this team at the beginning of the season, that game is what he was hoping to see. Ballot scoring up and down the lineup. Yeah, Michi had 20, but you also got 17 from Elijah Strong. You got 11 points from Miles Studi. That he has been not a guy who's given them a whole lot this season. That was by far their best game. Can they duplicate that and replicate it again tonight? I don't know. We haven't seen them be that consistent all season long. My guess is no. But you're right. It is a winnable ball game for them. And what else do they have to play for? I mean, as soon as they lose their next game, their season is done. So might as well give it all you have tonight and see what happens.
I think they'll give a great effort. It's about execution. Hey, here is breaking news. To win a basketball game, you got to make shots and you got to rebound.
How about that?
So, If they do that better than Oklahoma, they're going to win the game. And we'll see what kind of mindset the Gamecocks come out in. You know, the word came out yesterday that Lamont Paris would be back. That should be uplifting to his players, at least, you know, those who are returning. If they are returning, will know who their coach is going to be. So I look for a close ball game here. You know, this might come down to the last couple of possessions, a key turnover, a missed free throw. Oklahoma is both overall and from three a much better shooting team than South Carolina, but the Gamecocks, one of the best shooting free throw shooting teams in the SEC. So if they can get to the line, if Michie Johnson can knock down some threes and they don't get beat up on the backboards and give up a lot of second chance opportunities, they're going to have a chance to win this game. But I think it'll be a close one, probably coming right down to the wire, probably coming right down to the last possession, because these teams are pretty equal. Oklahoma scores more by about 9 points per game, but they both give up about 81 points per game. So both have been kind of weak defensively from that standpoint. So there you go. There's that. And then, of course, last night in baseball, thank you, Coastal, for saving the Big Three from an embarrassing night. Coastal beat Wake Forest. South Carolina had as many errors last night as hits against the Citadel. A well-deserved win for the Bulldogs, who've taken on everybody. Florida State, Kentucky, they're not shying away from playing any extremely difficult opponents, and they took it to the Gamecocks' rear end last night, beat them 8-3, pulled away late. And so there you go with the same old questions now cropping up. Every time, I've never seen, maybe it's like this in other parts of the country, Smitty, but every time the Gamecocks lose a baseball game, it's like people going over the top crazy, analyzing why. And we've seen teams up and down the SEC probably lose more games, and maybe the ACC guys probably seeing teams losing more games to lower-level teams here in the pre-league season than we've seen maybe ever. You think, Smitty, you think I'm right in saying that we're seeing the more losses being accrued by these teams than normally we would before they got to league play?
I think there's certainly something to be said about the talent being leveled out across. And look, you probably also have, there's factors, if you start picking out the names of the pitchers, these midweek arms that happen to go in this particular circumstance. For instance, Clemson, who lost last night, they threw Eston Simpson. Well, Eston Simpson's not going to throw on the weekend. So you always have to keep that in mind. But I'll say this, and by the way, quickly, the Citadel will play Clemson next week in midweek. So you talked about taking on all comers. That will amplify that point. But I'll say this, Corn. I think there is reason for Gamecock fans to have a hissy fit every time they lose to a midweek opponent or a lower conference opponent, because they went 6-24 in SEC play last year. You see, Clemson's not going to panic. They just lost to Georgia Southern, and they can chalk that up to, hey, ran into some good pitchings, didn't play our best game, 3 errors, left 8 guys on base, 7 in the last 5 innings. We've got to clean all that up heading into a big series against Georgia Tech to open ACC play. South Carolina's operating in a different world. They dropped 2 of 3 to Clemson. They haven't won that series in a number of years, and then they're coming off a year where there's a lot of question marks because they went 6-24 in SEC play. If this were a team that coming off Maneri's first year, they'd have gone 500 or within a stone's throw of 500 in conference play, you wouldn't see this level of panic. But that's why, it's because it's not happening in a vacuum. It's happening on the heels of what happened in 2025.
Yeah. And Phil, I think Smitty is 100% correct about that from USC's perspective. And also last night, it just didn't make any sense how they approached the game. For a team that needs every win they can possibly get, they threw a bullpen game last night. They had 9 pitchers. Alex Philpott started the game and went, I think, 2/3 of an inning. And then after that, they trotted out 8 more pitchers to the pitching mound against the Citadel last night. Didn't make a whole lot of sense. And as you pointed out earlier, had as many hits as errors. Season high with 4 errors. It was almost like the team had no interest in being in Charleston last night. And that is certainly not the mindset you want to take to Gainesville this coming weekend.
You're exactly right. No excuse for that kind of performance. 4 errors, little hitting, other mistakes. Yeah, there's no excuse for that kind of performance. So we'll see what happens when they get to league play. Smitty, we'll let you go and get ready for your basketball. Berkey, we'll get back together after the break. We got other things to talk about. Phone number 888-898-2525. Text line number 803-900-4847. We're back in a moment.
Too tough to tame? Try too rough to ride. Nothing about this place lets you sit back. It rips up your tires and tears at your heart.
Let's go!
History, glory, consequences. That's Darlington, where stripes are well earned. The Goodyear 400. NASCAR's best face the lady in black. And this spring,
How about that?
she'll leave her mark.
Hell yeah, boys!
NASCAR Weekend at Darlington Raceway, March 20th through the 22nd. Get your tickets now at darlingtonraceway.com.
Traveling can be the worst, especially when you can't find your favorite show. Well, don't worry. We've got the perfect way to keep up with everything happening in the Palmetto State when you're away from home. Just pull up the Chief Sports app on your mobile device, and you can listen live to Sports Talk.
All right, welcome in, everybody. Sports Talk Media Network.
So the next time you can't find us on one of our great radio affiliates, just log on to the Chief Sports app, the best way to stay connected with the Sports Talk Media Network.
This is Major Billy Downer with the Department of Natural Resources, and I've got a message for all of our hunters out there. Whether you're on the water or going hunting on land, always tell someone where you're going. Be specific and tell them when you plan to return. Plan your hunt and hunt your plan. For more information on hunter education, visit dnr.sc.gov or join us on Wednesday nights for SC Wild.
Download the free Go Outdoors SC app from SCDNR, buy licenses, report harvests, and carry everything digitally right on your phone. Go Outdoors SC.
Start your journey with a new auto loan. Get on the road with an auto loan from Founders Federal Credit Union. From city streets to off-road trails, your journey begins here. Our competitive rates can get you on the road in a ride that fits your lifestyle and budget. With no payments for up to 90 days, you can apply for a pre-approved spending limit, valid for 30 days before you start shopping. Visit one of our many convenient office locations, or go to foundersfcu.com/auto to apply for an auto loan today. Membership qualification required. See webpage for details.
Yeah, if you want to join us, love to hear from you, your thoughts on things that are happening. Phone number 888-898-2525. If you want to take the time out to give us a holler, we got time to run your calls out there. 888-898-2525. Or you can text us. Our text line number, 803-900-4847. Of course, that's brought to you by Larry Lucas, State Farm Insurance, Columbia, and Lexington. LarryLucasAgency.com. Or give them a call, 803-799-1998 or 803-359-0770. You've got insurance, I know, but switching is easy. Bundling can save you hundreds or more. Let Larry and his staff work with you on all of that. 803-799-1998, 803-359-0770 is the number for the Lexington office. So in that win earlier over Clemson, Wake Forest 85-77 back on February 18th, Wake Forest hit 10 threes, Bergie. They were 19 of 24 from the foul line, and they had a great start. 67% in the first half, 18 of 27 as they jumped out to an early lead on the Tigers, and they led by 13 at halftime, 45-32. So Clemson obviously got to get off to a better start, got to make some shots, and 85 points, that's just not in Brad Brownell's DNA when it comes to putting a game plan together.
No, and it was in that stretch, where the Tigers lost 4 in a row and just did not play very well on the defensive end of the court. And part of the reason that they dropped 4 in a row, they gave up 67 to Duke, 76 to Virginia Tech, 85 to Wake Forest, and then 70 again to Florida State. That's not a winnable game for Clemson. They can't get in a run-and-gun type situation and can't let Wake Forest go off. Now, again, that was in Winston-Salem. Again, home court advantage will be in Wake's favor, but it's not their home gymnasium tonight that they'll be playing in, and I think Clemson will respond with a much better effort. By the way, speaking of the Tigers, I don't know if you've seen their athletic website today. They've revamped ClemsonTigers.com. Looks entirely new.
Really?
And it's got a lot of purple in there. Have gone back to their base colors now, the Northwestern purple and orange.
How about that? I'll have to take a look at that when I need something to read. I'll check that out. Speaking of websites, how about South Carolina slipping in the hiring of Dre Bly to the football coaching staff and not telling anybody? kudos to whoever found it. Looking at the South Carolina Athletic Department directory, all it's got is his name and that he's a defensive assistant. No picture, no bio, just Dre Bly. So I don't know if it was Inside the Gamecock stumbled upon that or somebody else, but that took off like wildfire this morning across the internet and the various Gamecock insiders talking about that. I mean,
It's
this
a
is a
good
guy
hire,
that
don't
was
you think?
absolutely, it's a great hire. I mean, you're talking about one of the great defensive backs in ACC history and an NFL guy as well, working with one of the best secondary coaches in the business. Yeah. Absolutely. I wonder if they'll let him focus on like corners and Torian Gray focus on safeties or vice versa, or just mix and match. I wonder how they'll work that, considering they haven't told anybody about it.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm not sure if Shane Beamer, I want to do anything to mess up what Torian Gray has developed on the back end of their defense. Whatever he's comfortable doing, I would say, all right, Dre, you've got to learn from him, and you take over what coach does not want to handle, because I'm not messing with Torian Gray. I've mentioned this before, and I firmly believe this. He is their best assistant coach, and so whatever he wants to do, if I'm Shane Beamer, I say, that's fine with me, coach.
Absolutely.
You take Dre and go do whatever you need.
Okay, so what's got me interested today? What has piqued my interest? I hate that it involves South Carolina in two different stories, but it is what it is. And I talk about this not just about South Carolina, but I generalize to mean all college programs today, all major college programs today, because I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of it. So South Carolina announced today that you can go watch the selection of the South Carolina women for the NCAA tournament at the Museum of Art in downtown Columbia, and you can do it for $125, or the VIP package, which is $250, and features an exclusive Selection Sunday T-shirt, a private dinner with the team, a curated buffet, and an open bar. So if you are the uber rich, you get the real good stuff, and if you're just the lowly rich, not as rich, you just get the regular stuff. But, I mean, I think this is just such a bad look, and such a, I'm sick and tired of colleges crying for money, just panhandling in every opportunity for money, 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 money. And the excuse is, well, we got to have it to go buy the athletes, and I'm sick of that as well. As a group, as a whole, you got to come up with a better system. I can't believe that the fans are going to – I know there are people out there who won't think twice about plopping down $250 to go be able to shake hands with Dawn Staley and have a picture and an autograph, and I get that. I understand that. You're a fan. You'll pay what it's worth, and you'll do it. And I'm not telling people how to spend their money, okay? I'm just talking about college athletics and how I just think this is sickening. Whether it's South Carolina or Clemson – and look, Clemson's no angel in all this either. They've done things to piss off a lot of their longtime supporters, by shifting them around in parking spots, taking away their longtime parking spots because they've increased the amount of giving that it takes, et cetera, et cetera. This is happening everywhere. I get that. But, the selection party, that used to be just a celebration of the season, open for everybody. How many students are going to be able to plop down money to go to this now? And they're making it private? Mm-hmm. So how many of your fams, that pay their $15 a game and come to all your games, who live in the Columbia area, who ordinarily would go to the CLA and be a part of all this, how many can go? How many will want to go? You're pricing people out in a lot of ways. And I just think this is a horrible look. You're taking something as simple as Selection Sunday and you're turning it into a fundraiser with the money going to what they call women's basketball enhancement. I'm not talking about surgery. I'm talking about that was terrible. That was terrible. Anyway, we're talking about using the money for, buying the players. So I don't know about you. I'll let you speak in a moment. I am 1,000% opposed to this kind of stuff for any school, anybody, anywhere. I just think it's a terrible look, and it just cheapens college athletics even more than it's already been cheapened. And then there's a story about the longtime South Carolina fan who has won his Supreme Court case. Talk about that in a minute.
On Point Weather, brought to you by our friends at Palmetto State Armory.
On 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. We are cloudy overnight with a low down to 67. What a difference from today to tomorrow. In the morning, it'll be thunderstorms. Carrying into the early afternoon, will be cloudy. The rest of the day, the high 70 degrees. Tomorrow night, all the way down to 35 as a low. Nicer on Friday. Sunshine, 67 is our high temperature. I'm Tal Moss with your On Point local weather.
At Palmetto State Armory, we offer the largest selection of guns and ammunition at unbeatable prices. Our knowledgeable and friendly staff are here to provide personalized assistance, ensuring you find exactly what you need. If you enjoy outdoor activities like hunting, camping, or hiking, our clothing and outdoor gear collection has got you covered. We also feature an exceptional indoor range facility where you can experience the thrill of shooting in a safe and controlled environment. Visit us today at PalmettoStateArmory.com or your local retail store. Palmetto State Armory, American made for life.
Win. With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The U.S.-Israeli war with Iran has become a test of who endures longer. The biggest pressure point appears to be the global economy as oil prices surge. Iran attacked commercial shipping around the Strait of Hormuz on Wednesday, setting a Thai cargo ship on fire, and Iranian drones also targeted Dubai's airport. The U.S. campaign of airstrikes is now in its 12th day. Major storms whipped up tornadoes that killed at least 2 people in northwest Indiana and leveled buildings in Kankakee, Illinois, authorities said Wednesday, as another round of rain, hail, and strong winds made its way through the region. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 289 points, the Nasdaq rose 19. More details at srnnews.com.
Are you tired of that sinking feeling when the electric bill arrives? Does the phrase peak hours trigger anxiety and a headache? Do you suffer from chronic fatigue of watching your hard-earned money evaporate right into the power grid? You may be suffering from utility pain and anxiety disorder, or UPAD. Symptoms include sweating when running the AC, a fear of turning on lights, and a general feeling of powerlessness over your energy costs.
It's time for you to try Solaris from Ken at Broker Solar. Broker Solar isn't a temporary fix, but a lasting solution with cutting-edge solar technology designed to address high energy bills at their source. Many clients have experienced immediate relief from high monthly payments with reports of increased home value and greater financial freedom. Imagine a brighter future for your home and your wallet. Side effects include the freedom to use your appliances when you want and a powerful sense of energy independence. Broker Solar, a brighter outlook for your home and wallet. Call us now, 803-807-7417. That's 807-7417 or online at brokersolar.com.
What's better than getting the best Wagyu and Hereford beef anywhere in these parts and getting it delivered to your door? How about knowing you're still supporting local farmers in Saluda over at H&J Cattle, where tradition meets quality? Visit HandJCattle.com. Place your order for $50 or more, get free delivery in Richland or Lexington County. Plus, Point listeners get 10% off your order. Enter keyword The Point as one word for your discount. HandJCattle.com.
Hi, I'm Sean Paliak, the new owner of Columbia Screen Printing and Design, formerly Bardak Design and Tease Me. We've rebranded, but our experienced staff and quality results haven't changed. We proudly serve the Columbia area with top-notch garments and design, and offer free delivery on our local orders. Visit us on Rosewood Drive near the fairgrounds or check us out online. For t-shirts, sweatshirts, jerseys, koozies, and more, call Columbia Screen Printing and Design at 254-7940. We're local, fast, and ready to wow you.
When the Midlands weather puts your roof to the test, trust Shingles Now Roofing. Your local family-owned specialist, Charlie and Rodney, both GAF Master Elite contractors, pride themselves on quality repairs and replacements. Fully licensed and insured, we promise honest work at a fair price. Enjoy free inspections and estimates so you can always know where you stand. Protect your home with a team that treats you like family. Shingles Now Roofing. Shingles Now. Roof repairs right away. Visit shinglesnow.com.
Spring is the perfect time to make sure your home stays comfortable. For over 12 years, Sweet Comfort Services has been proud to serve Columbia as the best small family-owned heating and air company in the area. Whether you need repairs, a new installation, or preventative maintenance, our trusted team has you covered. We install dependable systems from Goodman and Trane, and if you have a quote from any licensed HVAC company, we'll match or beat their price. Call 803-331-8143 or visit sweethvac.com. Sweet Comfort Services, keeping Columbia comfortable.
right, welcome back. Sports Talk here in Nashville, Bridgestone Arena. We got Texas Ole Miss on the floor going through warm-ups. We got Berge back at the Berge Palace. We got Matt Smith was with us from Charlotte. Clemson playing later tonight. Clemson and South Carolina will be on at about the same time. You'll have a little stereo basketball activity going on your multiple television sets. Phone number 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. Reach you to us here on Sports Talk. Reminder about heading down to the beach and staying at a quality location of your choosing by working with Jimmy Smith at James Smith Real Estate, Paulie's Vacation Rentals.com. Now's the time to make those plans for later this spring or into the summer and get yourself the house or condominium that you need to fit your needs. So give Jimmy a call. And if you want to buy something, you're looking to buy a house, my goodness, they're moving them left and right, up and down the coast. 843-237-4246. 843-237-4246 for your perfect beach getaway, courtesy of James Smith Real Estate, Jimmy Smith, Paulie's Vacation Rentals.com. All right, Berge, what do you think about that topic I was just talking about?
Before I get to that, I did want to point out, I'm glad you retweeted this because I'm going to have to go in and read the story from Adam Lucas, who writes for one of the North Carolina fan websites. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he wrote about growing up ACC and when the tournament actually meant something on Fridays. And I was listening to Smitty and I was thinking, gosh, how far has the Atlantic Coast Conference? And it's not just the ACC, it's all of them with conference expansion. But in terms of having Cal and Pitt and Stanford playing together, Cal and Florida State. I mean, the ACC tournament, which is the granddaddy of them all, and used to be such a big deal in the state of North Carolina, in particular, where I grew up, to see it fall to where it is now, and teams, just show up on Tuesday and start playing, and then half the teams don't even get there until Thursday. I mean, it's such a shame. And like I said, it's not just the ACC, but it kind of got me longing for the good old days back when the Fridays, when only 8 teams win the league, and Friday quarterfinal day was such a big deal. And yes, I can remember being in high school and having a teacher roll in a television so we could watch the basketball after lunch.
Well, listen, I've said this before on the show, and you're exactly right. Of course, we're old fuddy-duddies the way it used to be, and everybody today believes this is the best it's ever been, and it's far, far from it. But when I started at the network in 1984 and got the opportunity to go to my first ACC basketball tournament that year in Greensboro, and then in future years in Greensboro, in Charlotte, and in D.C., and even down in Tampa, this was before it expanded, and you're right. Friday was a special day, and I would sit in my seat, usually along the baseline, and the arena would be full to the brim. 16,000 plus. You couldn't get another ticket. You couldn't find another parking spot.
It was a state holiday,
and it's what people wanted.
It was.
It was a huge event. I know people who planned this year round. They made plans with their buddies. They'd go in groups, major cookouts, major parties going on all over the place. It was so much fun, and they've ruined it. They have absolutely ruined it. And my point is, I would sit there, and I'd sit in my seat, and the national anthem would be playing, and I'd look around, and I would say to myself, you are the luckiest SOB in the world because you're able to sit here, you're working, but you're able to sit here, watch the best basketball on the planet in college, have a place that people would give their right arm for. And now it's just become run-of-the-mill. Now, this weekend when it gets to Friday, Saturday, and they're down to their 4, and if there are enough North Carolina schools there, they'll pack the place. If the right schools are there, they'll pack the arena. And they'll have a great atmosphere, and it'll be exciting. Here, you know what, if the right teams are here, especially if Kentucky hangs around for a while, by the time we get to Friday and into the weekend, they'll pack this place as well because the right teams will be here playing, the best teams most likely, and they'll have their fan following. But there was truly nothing like those days of ACC tournament basketball. 3 days, 8 teams, the best basketball you could. The number 8 was not too far away from number 1 as far as quality in those days, a lot of them. And every game was a must-see. So, anyway, I got to read that story as well.
Yeah, and what made it cool for me as an aspiring broadcaster is all 4 of the North Carolina schools, their radio affiliates, carried every single game of the tournament. So you have
exactly
Woody
right.
Durham at North Carolina broadcasting Duke and NC State.
You're exactly right.
I mean, it's just so cool, and
You're exactly
it's a shame
right.
it's fallen off.
Every one of them did every game of the tournament. You're exactly right. Clemson
really
never
cool.
did that. Jim Phillips and them never did that. And when Pete Yannity followed, now Don Munson, I don't think they ever did that. But the 4 North Carolina, they might. I don't know if they still do that or not, but they sure did that back in the day.
It's a lot of work now.
And it made it extra special, man, for sure. All right, what you got?
All right, now back to the South Carolina situation. I understand your points, and back in a perfect world of college athletics, you would want your fans to be able to come to a situation like this and celebrate with the team and do it for free, because when ESPN, the one thing ESPN and CBS on the men's side, what they want is they want to show the watch parties, and they want to see thousands of fans in the background when they go to, a surprise team. High Point, when they find out where they're going as the Big South representative. North Carolina, when they find it, you probably won't get the same reaction, obviously, but that's what they want. South Carolina, when they find out they're one of the top 4 national seats, you want to see all the fans in the background. But the problem is, Phil, and especially now on the women's side of the coin, I think they're going to have to get much more creative. And yes, are you going to have to continue to get on the backs of your fan base? I think so, especially on the women's side in particular, because I don't think the ladies are going to get anywhere close to the revenue share money that they need. Now, whether or not that's the case to help build your program and be able to buy players, that still remains to be seen. I think that argument still needs to play out, and we'll see if the teams that are spending 20, 30, 40, let's see what LSU does. If indeed they actually have a $40 million payroll for football this coming season, they should win the national championship. No questions asked. They should be the best team in the country because they've bought, perhaps, the best team in the country. We'll see if that happens. But from South Carolina's perspective for a moment, I can see what they're thinking, because right now, let's face it, when the bracket comes out on Sunday, South Carolina is probably going to be the number 4 national seed. You're going to have UConn, unquestionably the number 1, and then I think you're going to see UCLA as the number 2, number 1, and then Texas as the number 3, number 1, and then you'll have South Carolina as the 4th number 1 seed. And I think from the Gamecocks' perspective, when you're looking at teams like UConn, you're trying to keep up with them. And I don't know what their situation is with regards to revenue share, but let's face it, UConn does not deal with big-time football. So all their money is going to go to their men's basketball program, and then probably even a good chunk of it over to their women's program. Then you've got UCLA, who legitimately probably has one of the best opportunities for legitimate NIL in Los Angeles of any school in the country, both on the men's and the women's side. And then, of course, we're dealing with Texas money. South Carolina just does not have that, Phil. Even with the fan base and as much money as they pumped into the program and all the great things that program has done, I can see why they want to do it. I understand your angst about this. And again, it's asking your fan base to continue to give and give and give. I'm not a big fan of it either. But I think you're going to see, especially in women's sports, whether it be softball, basketball, soccer, whatever the case may be, volleyball, they're going to have to get much more creative to be able to keep players and generate enough revenue to go buy a winning team. If you don't want to have a winning women's basketball program, then don't support this. You don't have to go. I'm like you, Phil. I wouldn't pay $250 as a fan to go see anybody's watch party. I don't care who it is, but there would be people out there who want to do so, and I think they understand, especially in women's sports in particular, they're going to have to get more creative than the men have to.
Well, I don't like any of it. I hear what you're saying. There's got to be a better way, because when you start leaving out the bulk of your fans from events like this, that's not good. I'm sorry, that's just not good.
I get that point.
And now you're looking snooty. Only those with the money who can afford to go are invited to go, or you can buy your tickets. And it's a limited number anyway. They're having it at the Museum of Art in downtown Columbia. How many people can you squeeze in there for this?
Which is odd to begin with.
Well, there's also there's a beneficiary to this thing. Let me go back here to the release. See, there was part of that. There was something about it was benefiting. Besides enhancing women's basketball, it said in the release, it was $125. The deluxe pass gives you a 50% discount on exclusive merchandise, a charcuterie and a light bite spread and beer wine bar access. The VIP package, $250, exclusive T-shirt, a private dinner with the team from 6 to 7, curated buffet, and an open bar. I'm sorry. And I thought there was something else to it, but I guess that. Let's see. I guess that's it. Well, there may be more to it, but that's just all I happen to post on X. So again, I just think that's being a little bit uptownish. After you got thousands of people who've supported you over the years and who would expect to go to a selection event for nothing, because they're the ones that have been buying the tickets and making the travel and supporting your team. I just think you're shutting the doors on a lot of people. But here's my idea. I mentioned last night, we didn't get into it. My idea for saving the college world goes sort of like this. And first of all, I begin with by saying that I'm no financial expert by any means. I'm no labor lawyer. I'm no expert on the world of business or athletics for that matter, okay? I'm just a guy with an opinion and some ideas. But I think that the major colleges who want to play this game need to form like a corporation, maybe within the NCAA. I'm not saying breaking away from the NCAA, but I'm saying form like a corporation, like an LLC or whatever you would call it, okay? Form a corporation and then see about antitrust protection from Congress, like the NFL, all the professional leagues have, Major League Baseball, NBA, hockey, whatever. They all have antitrust protections that allow them to do what they do. So the colleges have got to get to the same thing. And the other thing we have to realize is if you are growing up as an athlete, okay, all right, you don't have you choose to go to college. All right, that's a choice that you make. You're voluntarily deciding to go to college and throwing your abilities out there right now to the highest bidder. But you choose to do that, okay? It's not like the government's forcing you to go, anybody's making you go. You choose to do that voluntarily. So it seems to me that if you're volunteering to join an organization, to go to an organization, you should have to follow those rules that are put in place to oversee that organization. So by forming the corporation, by getting antitrust protection, I think that, okay, we've reached the point of no return that the athletes are going to get paid. Okay, I understand that. But you can't have this bidding war going on for these athletes. You got to have a set amount that goes across the board. I would suggest, let's just start with football. Let's just use football as an example. You got 105. You pay every football player $50,000. Sounds pretty good to me, Bergie. Can you imagine coming out of high school and somebody handing you $50,000 to go play football? Not to mention covering all your expenses, travel, your academics, everything else, your housing. $50,000. Whether you're the greatest quarterback in America coming out or you're down at the bottom, everybody gets the same. Everybody gets $50,000 across the board. If you do the math on that, that works out to a little over $5 million, right? Mm-hmm. You're in college, Plumber. Does it come out to about $5 million? You're a college boy. Comes out to
what's the math again? I wasn't even listening.
50,000 at 105. That's about $5 million, is it not?
Sure.
So that's $5 million right there for football. But that's it. The top end of that's $50,000 a player. And everybody's getting the same across the country. Now, NIL, that's revenue share. NIL should be left open to every player in every sport to do what he or she can do on their own, through their own representation, working privately to make their own deals. I think we have to eliminate all internal NIL operations and take that out of the function, because that's where you have the bidding war going on. because this school's got their NIL people and they're working on deals for recruits and telling them, okay, you come here, we can get you this amount of money, this amount of NIL money. And this school over here has got the same group going on, the same organization, and they're telling recruits, come here, we can get you this amount of NIL money. That's got to be eliminated, and it's got to be policed. And you've got to have, within each school, you've got to have the compliance office, with its eyes open and enforcing that the school is not participating in the NIL side of things. That should be left alone to the athlete, their family, and their agent. So if you're paying everybody $50,000 a year across the board, that eliminates, you put a cap on that. That eliminates the bidding war there from a salary standpoint, from a revenue sharing standpoint, okay? And you can set your budget accordingly. And then you leave it up to each individual, but you can't have each individual athlete to go make their own NIL deal. The problem you run into, what's causing the issue, is that schools are competing for the NIL dollars by trying to outbid, by trying to outpromise one another what they can deliver on the NIL front. And it's driving everything sky high, and that's why you're getting these crazy numbers coming out on these reported deals being done. So to me, now here's the other thing, the last part of this. When I say you volunteer to go to college, it's because now you have to have the option as a high school kid coming out. The NFL has got to open its doors to high school football players.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Now, let me tell you, most of them won't be ready. But it's time for the colleges to say, we're no longer going to be the farm team of the NFL. You take players out of high school. If you decide you're in high school and you feel like you're ready to go to the NFL, by all means, you go that route. But this would allow the colleges then to go back and say, look, you're volunteering to come to college. And so this is what we offer if we come to college. If that's not good enough, then you go try the NFL. But this is what we're offering. And so I don't see how that could be shot down from a legal standpoint. If it's all volunteering and the kid is making the decision, well, I want to go to college and try my talents there, or he might say, I want to go to the NFL. I'm putting my name in the NFL draft. That door has got to be open. They got to kick in that door for this to work. You got to kick in that door for the high school players to have the ability to go to the NFL straight out of high school, so it's not the perception that they have no other choice but to go to college first, and then college is setting these limits on them if it's going to survive in court. You see what I'm saying?
I do. And when you initially said put a cap on the amount of money that the players can earn, I knew it wasn't going to work. But your idea of a stipend, which is basically what that $50,000 per player would be for football,
yeah,
I don't know that it's necessarily a bad thing, because you also leave, all right, Lenore Sellers, we know you're worth more than $50,000. Kate Klubnik, we understood while you were at Clemson you're worth more than $50,000, but here's the deal. You got to go out and earn that extra money, because that's what name, image, and likeness was supposed to be about all along. Mm-hmm. It's not our responsibility. We're already paying you something to come here. We're already taking care of your scholarship, your health insurance. You'll have no debts. We've got you an apartment to live. Heck, we may even get you a car. We're also going to give you a stipend to play football. That's your stipend. You get $50,000 to play football for us for 4 months. Aside from that, you want to make more money? Go at it. Go talk to the car dealers. Go talk to your people on social media. Go earn as much money as possible. We'd love to see you make $9, $10, $11 million on top of the 50. We're just not funding it for you anymore.
That's right. But I think you've also got to kick in that door to the NFL. I know it sounds crazy, but the kids coming out of high school have got to have the option. They have it in every other sport, even hockey. You got to have the option to go to the NFL, and if you don't choose that and you choose going to college, you volunteer to go to college, thus you have to follow the model that they have. Makes sense to me. Be back.
Too tough to tame? Try too rough to ride. Nothing about this place lets you sit back. It rips up your tires and tears at your heart.
Let's go!
History, glory, consequences. That's Darlington, where stripes are well earned. The Goodyear 400, NASCAR's best, face the lady in black. And this spring,
how about that?
She'll leave her mark.
Hell yeah, boy!
NASCAR Weekend at Darlington Raceway, March 20th through the 22nd. Get your tickets now at darlingtonraceway.com.
I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus, here to share some great news. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 college savings plan, can now be used for a lifetime of learning. From K through 12 to college and beyond, saving tax-free for your child or grandchild's education has never been easier. You can start with any amount. Contributions are tax-deductible and earnings grow tax-free. Discover the smart, easy way to save for college today at futurescholar.com.
There's a lot of things we take for granted in our lives. Your home's AC will run cool. Your drive-through coffee will be hot. And the car will start when it's time to take your kids to school. It's when things don't go as planned that you start thinking about who to call and where to turn. The good thing is, you can prepare for life's most difficult days by calling the Larry Lucas Agency today. Larry is a State Farm agent that has been taking care of people across South Carolina for more than 2 decades. You probably have insurance, but switching is easy, and bundling can save you hundreds or more. Most importantly, the Larry Lucas Agency can help you choose the protection you want at the price you want. All backed by South Carolina's #1 home and auto insurance company. Visit LarryLucasAgency.com today or give Larry a call at 803-799-1998. Like a good neighbor, Larry Lucas State Farm is there.
Looking for a new car? You need to think about a Kia. If you're in the market for an SUV, consider the new Kia Telluride or the new Kia Sorento. They're big, they're strong, and loaded with tech for thousands less than Honda or Toyota. You'll see the difference right away, and you get double the warranty. Plus, you get the JT's Advantage 1,000,000-mile warranty and about 1,000 other things you have to see to believe.
If you want the biggest bang for your buck, it's time to think about a new JT's Kia.
We're serious about saving you money.
Just informed, I think this is by Hank in a message. The price to attend the watch party is $50, then the price goes up. You only mentioned the top 2 prices, which makes it sound worse. No, that's even worse. It's $50 just to go in the building to watch them. And then if you want to step it up, it costs you more. That's even worse.
There's no free option.
No.
Weird.
Okay. No. $50 to come in and watch it. That's even worse. Thank you for telling me that. That's even worse.
To sneak in.
No, you could. You try. Hey, plumber, I'm assigning you that task. You try and sneak in.
I did try. I did successfully sneak into Pit Row in Atlanta last year, so I may have a chance.
Which I'm impressed of.
You do. You look more like a rear tire changer than you do as a Gamecock women's basketball fan. Yeah.
Very athletic. Very athletic.
Go ahead, Berger.
I'm disappointed though that you don't think I'm a women's basketball player.
Considering NASCAR security, especially along Pit Road, that's actually pretty impressive. He was able to squeeze in there.
Yeah. All right, we'll talk about the other item of note from today involving South Carolina. Ben Portnoy with the story from the Sports Business Journal that the Supreme Court of South Carolina ruled against USC. It's a legal fight between South Carolina and a longtime fan about what he says is a lifetime agreement to keep his seats and to keep his parking spot. You know this story. It's been around for a while, and today, according to court documents obtained by SBJ, the state Supreme Court denied South Carolina's petition for original jurisdiction in its fight with George Lee III, along with Lee's request for sanctions. We'll go into more detail and talk about it after the break. And also, of course, we've got Chalk Talk coming up with Chuck and Ellis. That'll be after the break. Don't go away. Be right back.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. At least 4 tornadoes touched down in Illinois and northwest Indiana during a late outbreak of severe storms. Cassidy Sinwelski, whose Indiana neighborhood was hit by a tornado, says she's fortunate to have made it through.
And then we went into the bathroom, got a piece of plywood, and within minutes I closed my eyes, the lights flickered, and there was nothing. But during that time, we just kept praying in the tub, and we were holding each other, and I was like, if this is the way we're going to go, I'm either going to be with the Lord tonight, or I'm going to be able to witness to people tomorrow.
The Newton County Coroner's Office on Wednesday confirmed the deaths of an elderly couple in their home in Lake Village, Indiana. A volunteer fire department says less than 10 people were injured in Tuesday's storms. Tornado watches are still in effect through the Ohio Valley into northwestern Virginia. Iran has blocked the Strait of Hormuz, a vital oil choke point, and reopening it is a big challenge.
The Strait of Hormuz is so important for the world's economy that governments are looking at how to reopen what has now become an energy choke point. French President Emmanuel Macron envisages France and other countries using warships to escort tankers and container vessels. The navies of France, the United States and other nations have recent first-hand experience. We spoke to former naval officers who have previously navigated in the Hormuz Strait. They said that warships and commercial vessels would be sitting ducks if they tried using the straits and narrow shipping lanes now.
Correspondent John Leicester reporting. President Trump is visiting an Ohio pharmaceutical plant in Cincinnati and then goes across the Ohio River to campaign against GOP Kentucky Congressman Thomas Massie. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 289 points, the NASDAQ up 19. More at townhall.com.
A Social Security update. 70 million Americans collect Social Security benefits today, and millions more will join soon. Now, a new study finds 70% of Americans don't get the full benefits they deserve. But recipients can use simple strategies to boost Social Security benefits by as much as $188,000 over a lifetime. Social Security expert Michael Allen says it's true and reveals 5 key strategies to increase your benefits. It's all in his free special report. Newsmax calls the report your best guide for bigger Social Security benefits. Whether you're getting benefits or soon will, you need the Social Security report. Get it free. Call 800-999-9690. 800-999-9690. We'll text it to you right away, along with President Trump's act cutting your Social Security taxes. Call now, 800-999-9690. 800-999-9690. Text and data rates may apply.
Britain is getting rid of hereditary aristocrats in the House of Lords after a 700-year-old history. We hear more on this story from international correspondent Charles de Ledesma reporting from London.
Centuries of British political tradition will end within weeks after Parliament voted to remove hereditary aristocrats from the unelected House of Lords. On Tuesday night, members of the upper chamber had dropped objections to legislation passed by the House of Commons, ousting dozens of dukes, earls and viscounts who'd inherited seats in Parliament along with the titles. The case of Peter Mandelson, who resigned from the Lords in February after revelations about his friendship with the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, has drawn renewed attention to the upper chamber and the problems of Lords behaving badly. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
News and analysis at townhall.com. From Washington, I'm Keith Peters.
On Point Weather, brought to you by our friends at Palmetto State Armory.
On 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. We are cloudy overnight with a low down to 67. What a difference from today to tomorrow. In the morning, it'll be thunderstorms. Carrying into the early afternoon, will be cloudy. The rest of the day, the high 70 degrees. Tomorrow night, all the way down to 35 as a low. Nicer on Friday, sunshine, 67 is our high temperature. I'm Tal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point. This is The Point. Make thepointradio.com. The Point. The Point.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil and Chris with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Back we are on Sports Talk Media Network. Tonight from Bridgestone Arena here in Nashville. Play just getting underway in the ninth session. Texas and Ole Miss. Neither team has scored 2.5 minutes in. We have Chris Bergen at the Berge Palace keeping an eye on everything there. And Smitty is in Charlotte at the ACC tournament. There for Clemson and Wake Forest tonight. South Carolina and Oklahoma coming up later tonight. Final game of the night here. Make sure you follow our post-game coverages of the two events, the Clemson game, the South Carolina game tonight. Both are the late games. We'll have post-game for you. You can hear from the coaches and players on our website, SportsTalkSC.com. Before we get to Chalk Talk with Coach Johnson and Coach Reedy, just to complete this story we were talking about as we went to the break, coming out today in the Sports Business Journal. So the South Carolina Supreme Court today ruled that the university, let's see here, well, basically they ruled in the favor of George Lee, to sum it up. He had signed, along with some others, lifetime membership going back many, many years ago, and he named the university as his beneficiary of a life insurance policy valued at $100,000 or more, and he received privileges for seats as part of this lifetime membership status campaign. He's a longtime Gamecock Club member. He says all he ever wanted was his seats and his parking. Best seats available for him. He doesn't want a suite. The university was apparently countering that he wanted to have a suite for that kind of money. And he says, no, I never wanted a suite. I just want my seats. Because apparently with the work being done, maybe he was being moved from his regular seats, and he just wanted seats that are of an equal of value, or seats of equal comfort or whatever. He says, I'm not looking to fight with the university. And he says they burned me out on it because I'm just sitting here going, is it really worth being a Gamecock Club fan after 60 years with all of this? And so
there's the point right there, Phil.
Yeah.
This is a guy who supported USC football in particular through every bad scenario possible. For 60 years. You don't treat people like this, and it's a shame that it's come to this point that we even know about this, that South Carolina, and much like we were talking earlier about the women's basketball watch party, this is not just a USC problem. This is a college football problem in particular across the board. I mean, you talked about Clemson fans, Iptay Club members who have been Tiger supporters for 5, 6, 7 decades, losing their seats and parking. I mean, you just don't do this to people who have supported you through thick or thin. And unfortunately for Mr. Lee, it's been mostly thin for him. And I don't blame him. I'm sure, and he even mentioned in the story, he never wanted this to begin with.
Yeah. Well, the university sought declaratory judgment on the contract between it and Lee over concern that he and the other lifetime members could assert rights to the new premium seats. And like you just said, like he said, that's not what he was seeking in this particular case. So the court documents show that the Supreme Court denied USC's petition for original jurisdiction. So I don't really know what all that means. Does that just mean that he gets to keep his seats and all that? I don't know the legal terms. So with that being said, let's welcome in coaches Chuck Reedy and Ellis Johnson. Another edition of Chalk Talk here on Sports Talk. Let's play the opening and then bring the guys on. How about that?
Get ready for a deep dive into the X's and O's. This is Chalk Talk with coaches Chuck Reedy and Ellis Johnson on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Okay, we'll talk X's and O's in just a minute, but these are two opinionated guys, and they're deeper than just what happens on the gridiron. So, Chuck, at every turn we're seeing as colleges, I'm not just talking South Carolina, Clemson. That's what we're mostly aware of. It happens, I'm sure, all over the country. But we're just seeing, like we mentioned earlier, you might not be aware, South Carolina now is going to charge their fans who want to show up a minimum of $50 to go to the women's selection party on Selection Sunday. You can pay $125 and be stepped up, or you can pay $250 and have the elite treatment. But $50 to get in the door, just to watch them look on television. So it just seems like at every turn they're trying to squeeze and the excuse is, well, we got to have the money. We got to have the money. Is that a legitimate excuse? I mean, seriously, these schools have millions and millions of dollars stashed away in various accounts, do they not?
Well, I don't know about that. Now you're making a heck of a statement there. I don't know if you can back that up or not. But you would think the schools have the money, but they are being stretched in so many ways. I mean, with the revenue sharing and NIL and if you fire a coach and you're having to pay him off. So they're looking for any way they can make a bit of money or make some money to try to fund all this stuff.
But Ellis, you like the idea? You agree with the idea of continually going back to your fan base and asking them to give until they maybe eventually can't give anymore, or maybe the fan base doesn't care. Maybe they'll just keep on giving if you produce a winning team like the South Carolina women have produced. Do we have Ellis with us?
I'm checking on that now. Stand by.
All right. Now we'll get to him in just a second. I know he was out with Clemson today watching the scrimmage in spring practice, and I hear some noise in the background. All right, let's go to football, Chuck, until we get Ellis on the line. We'll go to the football side of things. What is the gossip? What are you hearing from the Clemson camp? We'll talk mostly Clemson since they're the ones active in spring practice right now. You getting some? What kind of vibes are you getting from the folks you talk to up there?
The more I hear, the more I read, the more I think that Dabo made a really good hire with Chad Morris. If just in what he's saying, about accountability, and if you think about it, the last 2 or 3 years, I don't know Garrett Riley at all, but I mean, he seemed like a very laid back. I never saw him get real excited. And Chad is the totally opposite of that. But if you think about it, I mean, it was a drop pass here, it was a legal procedure there, it was a missed assignment. It was little things that added up and caused them to be, on offense in particular, just to be very unpredictable and not very efficient. And I think he's addressing that, and that's what they need.
Tightening the screws, would you say? Just working more on the little things, being more precise in every aspect of your business?
Yeah, exactly. And as he has said, that starts with the coaches, it starts with him and the assistant coaches, and goes right on down to the players. But, you can't – if a guy drops a ball in practice, it's not okay. It's not okay, and there have to be consequences. If you jump off sides, there have to be consequences. You can't just say, don't do that or, whatever. I mean, no. I mean, they have to be accountable. And, it didn't appear to me they had been very accountable the last few years.
I believe Coach Johnson is with us now. Coach Johnson, are you with us?
Yes, sir. I can hear y'all good, Phil, but I was on my car speakerphone for some reason. Y'all couldn't hear me.
Yeah. Technical wizard that you are, I'm not surprised at the difficulty. You were at the scrimmage today? You were out there watching the Tigers?
Yep. They scrimmage Wednesday because they leave in the the next day on that spring break.
Yeah. Well, tell us everything that you saw out there.
Well, it looked kind of like a first scrimmage of the spring when you got offensive linemen missing, you got your 2 best wide receivers not practicing, you're trying to find a replacement for a 3-year starting quarterback. I go on and on, but it looked a lot like that, and that's because it was that.
Yeah.
It was not good. I think probably the most disappointing thing coaches will take from just too many penalties. I do think that putting in a new system and all of that, they're thinking and thinking and thinking. They get too many penalties that are costing them right now.
What did you sense of the atmosphere out there with the coaches, the new blood out there, not just the bigger names, like Chad Morris, but they've added a bunch of other underlings, I guess you could say, to work in various positions. What did you sense of the energy level and the execution by the coaches and the teaching going on out there?
Well, all you can do is kind of look at what your eye tells you. They look like they're all on the same page, and I think they have been in the past. There's some new faces with some of the analysts, and I don't know who they are. But one thing that has been pretty impressive to me ever since I've come down here to watch, and when my son walked on, they're pretty organized. And if you got like 30 guys somewhere attached to that staff, you better be organized. The thing that always worried me about that kind of stuff is when 2 guys or 3 guys are coaching the same player off and on through the course of a week, even if they're trying to tell them the exact same thing, they say it 2 different ways, you get a confused football player. So I don't think that necessarily bigger is better when it comes to these staff numbers, and not just Clemson. I'm talking about the whole college scene. But they've relaxed the rules on what the guys can do, and, I mean, it's a cheap way to get a really good football coach on your staff. So I don't see anything changing in that.
Well, I'm glad you brought that point up because, Chuck, South Carolina has hired Dre Bly to join their staff. I know you remember him from his days at North Carolina and in the NFL. I mean, a terrific defensive guy. I don't know what kind of coach he is and all that, but working back there with Torian Gray, that's got to give South Carolina a real boost in terms of a lot of knowledge back there in that secondary, teaching those guys how to play back there.
Well, but I mean, Ellis nailed it. I mean, you got all these guys just falling all over each other. I mean, you better be organized, but I don't. And I mean, I was thinking the other day, Taj Boyd is coaching the quarterbacks. Well, so we didn't have. I don't think Ellis did. I certainly didn't have that luxury when I was offensive coordinator. I mean, I had to coach a position. I didn't walk around and look at the whole offense. I mean, we were coaching a position. So it's a whole different animal from what Ellis and I were used to, at least I think, from his perspective.
So when the quarterback comes off the field, let's say, Chuck, and comes to the sideline at Clemson, does he go talk to Chad Morris or does he go talk to Taj Boyd? Does it depend on what he needs to talk about? If it's about the game plan, he talks to Morris. If it's about his footwork, he goes and talks to Taj Boyd. How's that work?
Well, I don't know, and I mean that's why you say you better have a plan and have it organized. And like Ellis said, I mean, you can be as on the same page with the other guy, whoever the guys are, but still they can say things differently, and it would be confusing. I didn't want anybody talking to my quarterbacks. I mean, I wanted to be the only one that they were listening to. And I don't see how you can have that scenario now.
So you wouldn't let Danny Ford talk to the quarterback?
Well, he could do what he wanted to do, obviously, but he didn't talk to him about anything related to the game plan. I can assure you of that.
Ellis, you mentioned offensive line, all that. How the defense out there looked to you? The Tiger defense looked to be well ahead of the offense?
They were today, mainly because the offense is hurting themselves with pre-snap penalties. And I had a couple of drops. They'd have been really, really good catches, but they had 2 or 3 drops that could have been huge. But they're not blocking people up front right now. They got 2 or 3 really good linemen missing. And I think they're a pretty young bunch anyhow. They lost a lot of guys off that group last year, I think. So it just the matchup, the offense, to me, was not able to control the front. And I don't know whether it's because they had backup players in there or what. But if there was one, there was 20 sacks today.
How would you judge Sweeney's attitude during the practice? Was he upset a lot? Is he pretty happy about what he was seeing, or does it matter? Are you always going to be unhappy with things in the spring?
Well, yeah, that's a good question, because you work it against yourself. So somebody did good and somebody did bad. Well, you want to shoot somebody out, or you want to go over and praise somebody and get everybody positive? So that's the way it is in spring ball. He doesn't seem to be any different than he has been lately. And I think, pretty much the biggest thing I do notice, though, there's a pretty big difference in this offensive approach with the style of running game.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen more pulling linemen, counter gap plays, and power gap plays. I've seen more in 3 practices than I've seen in 3 years.
Ooh.
And I don't say that's going to cure everything, but I do think it's going to help in some situations, because they're not going to have a quarterback next year that can carry him the way Klubnik did, probably about 12 or 13 games over his 3-year career.
Chuck, what do you think about that information?
Well, no, they're going to run the football, and that should be the best news that any Clemson fan can hear, because I think Chad is committed to running the football, and he's going to find a way to run it, and and that's what they've needed, and they haven't had, certainly the last 3 years, they didn't have a real commitment to running the football.
Did you notice, Ellis, the speed of Chris Johnson out there? Could you pick him out, the running back? Could you notice that he was faster than anybody out there, if he was?
I couldn't tell from what they were working on. They did have some nice runs with their backs, both inside and outside. But there are more inside runs right now in a matter of 40 plays. There are more inside runs than there were in 3 weeks in the past. And not as much jet sweep. Of course, there are 2 horses, the 2 great ones on the outside, Wesco and what's the other one? Help me quick.
Smith.
Moore.
Moore.
No, TJ Moore. TJ and Wesco are both out right now. So they're working freshmen that wide out, and they look pretty talented, but they'll break off a route wrong, or they'll have a drop, or they should adjust to the ball better. There's a lot of things they're not doing well because they're not veterans. But I would say that they're kind of on schedule, if you will, to me, on what they're trying to become. If you watch this scrimmage, though, again, it was the first scrimmage of spring practice, and that's what it looked like.
Yeah, Smith is still I guess Smith can I think Smith can practice with him, or I think Dabo said he'd be out there running around and doing stuff while he waits to hear on trying to get his additional year. So, but yeah, not having Wesco and Moore out there. Yeah, I guess, Chuck, that's kind of and I know it's spring practice, but you develop habits in the spring, and you develop as a quarterback, you develop your favorite receivers and your relationship with them. I mean, of course, I know that they've been working together over the past couple of years, but still you'd like to have your top receivers working with your number 1 quarterback as much as possible, I would think.
Well, especially with the new quarterback, obviously that would be important. And, now I don't think Wesco's going to be out there at all this spring, or at least that's what I've read. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure what's wrong with TJ Moore. But, they'll have plenty of time during the summer and in the fall. And, gives you an opportunity to work with some of the young guys.
All right. What are you hearing over South Carolina way? Like I said, I know they're on break this week. They'll be back at it first of next week, but they got a few practices in before they took their break. You talked to any of your associates to learn a little bit about what's happening over there?
It's very positive. Very impressed with the new coaches. I think that Beamer did a great job in the off season with his staff, and feel like they're going to be better than they were last year. Just after a few days of looking at them and watching them run around out there, whatever that means.
Hurts that they don't have those 2 offensive tackles here in the spring, and one Thompson will be out the entire year, and they'll get Pete back at some point in September. But it's going to be a test of their depth and the test of their what they were able to do in the in free agency in their judgment and their assessment of some of these players.
Yeah, well, they brought in, 9 offensive linemen?
I think so, yeah.
And of course, supposedly the best one of the bunch was Peak. So, that was, that hurt right away. But, like I said, they brought in 9, so, they just got to find 5.
LSU missed this at the beginning when you were still trying to get connected, and we were talking about this thing in South Carolina women, USC charging people to go to the watch party for the South Carolina women's basketball team, up to $250, and a way of raising money. And everybody says, you got to have all these different creative ways to raise money to pay the athletes. That's what it's about. It's about paying the athletes now. And it turns my stomach. I'm sorry. I'm too old, I guess, now to think about doing it this way, accepting it but not liking it. And it just seems to me that's first of all, it's sort of a snobbish way to do it, if you ask me, because all the people that have supported your particular team all year long, who used to come to these things for nothing, are going to be left out. And now you're asking people to pony up $250 to be at the high end of this event. It's $250, $125, and just $50 to walk in the door. I don't know. Is it enough to just accept the fact that it's what schools have to do today to have revenue streams to be able to compete to get the players?
Yeah, it's kind of two sides of this thing, and this is about the 100th time we've had to talk about it on here and some other shows.
But this is the only show that counts, Ellis. This is the only show that matters, by the way. Remember that.
Tell those other guys that. They drive me crazy with all those questions, too. But it's, they're trying to keep up with their opponents. And the fans that are complaining about the money are the first ones that will want to fire them if they win 6 games or 5 games. I don't lie. I'm just like you. What you just said a minute ago was so true. But that bus has left the station, so they're not going to quit paying them. I don't know if they can get some control over it or not. I think maybe they can do that. But that's what's happening. And I'm not going to say what I really think it is, but it's just ridiculous. And it is going to be some ramifications over it. You're going to see the effect it has on some kids down the road that nobody cares about by that time because they're all 30 years old and can't do anything for their school. But on the other hand, they've got to get the money somewhere, and I don't think their opponents are going to give it to them. So you got to go to your fan base and raise the money.
Well, it's a terrible process, Chuck. I think it's a terrible system that the colleges. And you can't really blame them. I mean, this has been forced upon them, and they had no preparation for this new world that they were forced into, and they're kind of making it up as they go along here. But I still find it to be distasteful.
No, well, I agree with you. I mean, I don't like it, and like Ellis was saying, I mean, we don't like it, but it is what it is, and you've got to find the money somewhere. And, I don't know, you keep going back to the same people, and that's what happens. You keep hitting them over and over and over again, and I don't know. I don't know when they're going to price people out is what's going to end up happening because, a family of 4 now, you could go to a college football game. You can't do it anymore unless you've got a lot of money.
Yeah. A big buyout.
I was talking one the other day. Auburn actually moved one of their home football games to Atlanta and going to get paid big for it. Obviously, they cut a deal, and the whole purpose of moving that game, they wanted to raise some revenue for the NIL money.
Well, how did that sit with how'd that sit with the fan base?
I don't know. I mean, nobody wants to give away a home game. You don't want me doing not even to a neutral site. But, they don't have any choice.
I had not heard that. Bergie, had you heard that?
I had not, but it sounds like Georgia Tech, what Tech has done, moving games off campus. Now they stay in Atlanta, but they don't play on campus. It's ridiculous. But again, as Coach Johnson pointed out.
Came out in October. Auburn moving 26-game versus Baylor to Atlanta for NIL. Gentlemen, thank you. Great as always. Y'all have a great week. We'll catch back up next week. Talk about the Gamecocks when they get back to work. We appreciate you. Back in a moment.
On-Point Weather, brought to you by our friends at Palmetto State Armory.
On 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. We are cloudy overnight with a low down to 67. What a difference from today to tomorrow. In the morning, it'll be thunderstorms. Carrying into the early afternoon, will be cloudy. The rest of the day, the high 70 degrees. Tomorrow night, all the way down to 35 as a low. Nicer on Friday. Sunshine, 67 is our high temperature. I'm Tal Moss with your on-point local weather.
Hey y'all, this is Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. We'd like to invite you and your family to dine with us. We have a great menu that's sure to please your whole family. We have fresh cooked burgers, big juicy wings, blue plate menu featuring country cooking, oven baked hoagies, fresh crisp salads, authentic Greek food like gyros, souvlaki, and baklava. We also carry 20 different premium cheesecakes and pies. Flight Deck Restaurant also has an arcade with 30 different games like Star Wars, Batman, Skee Ball, Bass Wheel, Pac-Man, Galaga, and so much more. Flight Deck, your favorite family restaurant. Thanks y'all and God bless.
The Point.
Yeah. With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Iran has attacked commercial ships and targeted Dubai International Airport. The latest attacks on Wednesday mark an escalation in its campaign to bottle up the oil-rich Persian Gulf as American and Israeli airstrikes pound the Islamic Republic. President Trump toured an Ohio pharmaceutical company on Wednesday as part of a push by his administration to lower drug prices. He used the same trip to visit the nearby Kentucky district of a Republican in Congress he'd like to see defeated in an upcoming GOP primary. Major storms whipped up tornadoes that killed at least 2 people in northwest Indiana and leveled buildings in Kankakee, Illinois, as another round of rain, hail, and strong winds made its way through the region. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 289. This is SRN News.
Lots of plumbing companies out there. Few are truly local. Time to discover the difference with Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning. See, when I faced plumbing woes at the Cohen home, Josh and his dedicated team, well, they were my go-to solution. They make a commitment to exceptional service. They arrived on time, clearly detailed all the costs and procedures, and efficiently handled all my repairs without any surprises. These days, how often do we complain about a lack of customer service out there? With Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning, these folks are professional. They're courteous. They're skilled at what they do, and they've earned my trust, and they've earned my recommendation to you. From urgent repairs to the tankless water heater you've always wanted, they've got you covered. Visit franklinplumbing.sc.com or call 799-2222. That's 799-2222. Hey, you tell them Kev sent you from The Point. I'm pretty sure you'll want to thank me later.
Tartan Day, you might just learn a thing or two. We can't wait to see all of you at Tartan Day.
Break out your kilts. It's time for Tartan Day South, built by Culpeper Wood. This year's festival celebrates the Celtic influence on our nation's 250th birthday. The Celtic Concert is Friday, March 27th. All the great bands hit the stage for one musical night at the Ice House Amphitheater, downtown Lexington. And then the main event, Tartan Day South Celtic Festival, is Saturday, March 28th at the historic Columbia Speedway in Casey. Gates open at 9 a.m. to a 9-acre infield of lush green grass filled with activities and entertainment, Highland Athletics, Celtic concerts, South Carolina's largest British car show, sheepdogs, birds of prey exhibitions, and food and beverage vendors for the entire family.
Tartan Day, you might just learn a thing or two. We can't wait to see all of you at Tartan Day.
Tickets on sale now at tartandaySouth.com.
Start your morning right at the original Pancake House on Forest Drive in Trenton Plaza. We're not just about pancakes, though ours comes stacked with fresh fruit toppings like peach and apple and cherry. Savor homemade quiche, thick sliced bacon, sweet blintzes, and amazing oven-baked omelets, all crafted with the very best ingredients in small, fresh batches. Don't miss out on fresh squeezed oranges and hearty lunch sandwiches. Family-friendly, group-ready, always delicious. The original Pancake House welcomes you.
Hi, I'm Alicia Kaufman-Quinton. My daddy, Billy Kaufman, opened Kaufman's Meat Plant at our present location in 1955. My family still works hard every day to ensure fresh quality cuts of beef, pork, and poultry. How about a tasty T-bone, ribeye, or New York strip steak? But to order at Kaufman's Meat Place. Just look for the signs near the intersection of US 1 and I-20 in Lexington. Call us at 356-0076 to place your order. Kaufman's Meat Place, when you want the very best your money can buy.
The Sports Talk Recruiting Report is sponsored by Seawell's Catering.
Okay, recruiting coming up in just a moment, but we've stumbled upon a couple of things here we have to touch on.
It's so good.
Well, Bergie found this. Mike Scarborough is a writer. This actually came out yesterday, Bergie. He's a writer covering LSU, and he's reputable. He's an insider for Tiger Bait. We can't read the whole story because it's behind a paywall, but apparently, his headline is, "What I'm hearing, the LSU Will Wade situation is no longer impossible." Bergie, he's suggesting that LSU is going to fire their coach and go back and apparently try to rehire Will Wade away from NC State. That's all we can read about this particular story. Can you believe that's even a possibility?
It goes along the lines of what we've been talking about with regards to college athletics. Nothing can surprise you anymore because this would be so ridiculous. It's the same guy they fired because he cheated. He's another one of these slime balls in the same category with Nate Oates and Bruce Pearl and all those guys. Will Wade's another one of them. But I guess LSU figures, heck, we got Lane Kiffin on campus now. He'll cheat and do whatever he needs to do. We'll bring Will Wade in, let him cheat too because it's all legal now. The things we had to get rid of him back in 2022 for are now all legal, and it wouldn't shock me in the least. But if that happens, I can't begin to imagine what NC State's going to be thinking. They've got to be petrified now.
And, I mean, he's got a contract at NC State. It's got to be at least 5 years with a huge buyout.
I would think so.
Yeah. Wow. And who would leave? Back in the day, we talk about the ACC. There's not a head coach who would voluntarily leave an ACC basketball coaching job in the past.
No.
And now it's all changed, of course. But, man, that was a plum job back then. You were coaching in the ACC in basketball. You were at the top of your college profession. Oh, and by the way, LSU's put out a release that they also will have a NCAA tournament selection watch party on Sunday at the PMAC as they await their first-round opponent. Imagine this. They're not charging anybody for going to that. So, way to go, LSU. You don't need to nickel and dime your people to death to come watch television. That's what it is. And, of course, rub elbows, drink alcohol with your buddies, eat caviar.
Well,
with your finger. Now, when you eat caviar, let me remind you, you have to eat it with your little pinky sticking up in the air. Plumber, when you eat caviar, remember to raise your little pinky up in the air because that's how you do it.
Yeah, it's like this.
Well, and in fairness, LSU fans don't really need a reason to party, so
yeah, that's true.
It's always a party in the bayou.
That's exactly right. But Will Wade back to LSU, incredible. I don't think it will happen. Surely there's somebody at LSU with some common sense. Of course, this is also the same school that just hired Lane Kiffin away from Ole Miss, so I don't know. But surely somebody over there has got some common sense and would stay away from this guy. But you never know.
Well, if this guy's writing it, Scarborough, I don't know him personally, but I've read him for years. If he's writing it, there's something to it.
There's a little smoke, huh?
He's not being, he's not fishing. He knows something's going on, and he's got his sources. We just can't read it because it is behind the old paywall. Okay, you know what's not behind the paywall? Our recruiting information. I could be a billionaire many times over if I charged for recruiting. But we don't do that on Sports Talk. We ask you to listen, and we ask you to just endorse our advertisers, to take them up on what they have to offer to you. That's how it works in the real world of the media, of the real media. All right? The real media world is we work for you. We do it for nothing. We have advertisers who support us, and we ask you to support our advertisers, like Seawell's.
And they offer a amazing daily luncheon buffet. That's what they offer to us, along with many other events and catering options. But tomorrow at Seawell, Southern Fried Chicken.
Wait a minute. Oh. Bergie.
Yes, sir?
Did I pause? Yes. Did I stop for the plumber to just jump right in? Did I do something?
I heard a
Josh
pause.
was just sliding in with the menu.
He came through like a tank, like just blowing in.
I felt a pause, so I took it on.
Uninvited. It was a very much uninvited. All right, go ahead, Plummer, since you've rudely interrupted my flow.
Well, I feel like you rudely interrupted my menu. So we're in a crossroads here.
Okay.
Seawell's tomorrow, Southern Fried Chicken, carved applewood smoked ham, lasagna, Italian lasagna, let's get that right, and teriyaki glazed salmon. Friday, it's a roast beef Friday with honey barbecue and lemon pepper chicken wings, Southern Fried Chicken, and fried flounder fillets.
I didn't know there was any other kind of lasagna besides Italian lasagna.
Mexican lasagna.
I didn't know there was such a thing. I didn't know.
Russian lasagna.
Make sure you give Seawells a call to let them handle all your catering needs. 803-771-7385. Online at SeawellsCateringSC.com. Let's talk about a couple of players. Jackson Elston, 6'5", 308, Oxford, Alabama, has scheduled official visit with South Carolina June the 5th. He also plans to take in a spring practice once the Gamecocks get back to work. He just was recently offered by the Gamecocks, talking to Director of Recruiting for Offense, Sam Survey, who made the connection and then put him together with Randy Clements. And they got together and the offer was made, and he was very excited about that. He's never been to South Carolina before, but he's heard a lot about it from his former teammate who is there now as a freshman, Keenan Britt, who enrolled in January. And he's told him a lot of positive things about things at South Carolina. So he's very athletic. He moves well. He can move in space. He has an official with Arkansas as well, May 29th, and also offers from Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech, Oklahoma State, Missouri, Florida State, West Virginia, Auburn, Georgia, Purdue, and others. But South Carolina's definitely grabbed his attention with the offer. Clemson in the hunt with running back Gary Walker, 6'1", 200 of Fairburn, Georgia, having locked him in for an official visit the weekend of May 29th. Of course, the Tigers took that other big step with him by making an offer. They had not offered him until he came in for the junior day this past Saturday. He left with that offer in hand. He said the visit was great. Loved being around Dabo Sweeney, seeing how the program operates. He talked to Chad Morris. He also has officials set with Stanford, Virginia Tech, Penn State, and Florida State. And he just picked up offers from Indiana and Tennessee. But right now, with that offer from Clemson, he has the Tigers high on his list and building a relationship with the Tigers and moving forward with them. So Clemson's in a good place with him at this particular time. Wide receiver DJ Huggins of Kennesaw, Georgia, has set an official visit to South Carolina for June 19th, according to Rivals. He goes to Georgia 2 weeks prior. He was at Alabama this week, and he has spring visits upcoming, 2 of them with Georgia and also Arkansas. At one point, Clemson was involved, but appears to be no longer involved. Bluffton receiver Amir Patterson. Let's make that Let's make it Amari Patterson. Amari Patterson. He was at Florida on Tuesday, and he met with Steve Spurrier, among others. He has officials set with LSU, Georgia, and Florida, and South Carolina has also been involved. Dutch Fork defensive tackle Jaden Worth was offered by Northwestern. He was at Clemson last weekend. Clemson target, we did that. Clemson target, offensive lineman Sidney Rolu was offered by Michigan. Clemson target, wide receiver Lawrence Britt was at Florida on Tuesday. Cornerback Jacqueline Jones, Jaklyn. Jacqueline Jones, 5'10", 170, Florence, Alabama. He was at Clemson this week. 2029 offensive lineman Julius Oldenthal of Pennington, New Jersey will visit South Carolina March 18th among his spring stops. Ohio State, Kentucky, Michigan, Michigan State, Georgia, Ole Miss, and Tennessee are others. He's already 6'5", 287. South Carolina target offensive lineman Stanford Willis was offered by North Carolina. Make that Stafford Willis. Stafford Willis was offered by North Carolina. He's been to USC and Florida. He'll visit Cincinnati. Well, he's there today and supposed to be at Ohio State tomorrow. South Carolina target defensive end Abraham Cisse was offered by Michigan, scheduled to visit South Carolina March 21st. South Carolina did that. Defensive end Elijah Cox of Atlanta, a recent visitor to USC, was offered by Georgia Tech. South Carolina target wide receiver Ivion Lewis plans to take spring visits to Virginia Tech, Ohio State, Kentucky, Maryland, Alabama, has an official with the Gamecocks May 5th. Defensive end Marvin Guistop. Isn't the N normally silent there, Bergie, since you're such a professor of hard words?
What's his name again?
Marvin, Nguettsop.
Yeah, probably so.
Guitsop?
I would think so.
That's a toughie. 6'7", 260. Yeah.
Okay.
Oakdale, Connecticut. Has a spring visit set with South Carolina March 18th. Also will visit Kentucky, Ohio State, Michigan, Michigan State, Georgia, Ole Miss, Tennessee, UCLA. He camped at USC last summer. 2028 linebacker Christian King, 6'1", 215, also from Oakdale, Connecticut. These two guys go to Thomas More Academy. He too will visit South Carolina March 18th. Also spring visits Kentucky, Ohio State, Michigan, Michigan State, Georgia, Ole Miss, and Tennessee. South Carolina target defensive end Frederick Ards was at Florida last Saturday. Scheduled for Alabama Friday, Missouri on the 17th, USC on the 21st. And per Hale McGranahan, Big Spur, safety Kennedy Green of Douglasville, Georgia, was among the recruits to visit USC last Friday for a spring practice. He has an official with the Gamecocks on May the 1st. There you go. That's recruiting here on Sports Talk, brought to you by Seawells. After the break, we're going to hear from the man who is, in all likelihood, going to be the starting quarterback at Clemson, though there is some competition. There is some competition going on this spring. They want competition at the quarterback spot, but we'll hear from Christopher Vizina after the break. And then Jim Corbett, attorney for the Stars, is going to talk about that USC lawsuit with the fan.
If you're a new parent or grandparent, it might be tough to picture your little ones heading off to college, but it'll be here before you know it. I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 college savings plan, makes it easy to start saving for a child's future education right now. You can start with any amount. Contributions are tax deductible and earnings grow tax free. Discover the smart, easy way to save for college today at futurescholar.com. That's futurescholar.com.
Start your journey with a new auto loan. Get ready for a season of adventure. Escape the ordinary and get on the road with an auto loan from Founders Federal Credit Union. From city streets to off-road trails, your journey begins here. Our competitive rates can get you on the road in a ride that fits your lifestyle and budget. Featuring no payments for up to 90 days, you can apply for a pre-approved spending limit valid for 30 days before you start shopping. Let a Founders representative be your trusted advisor to make sure your purchase makes sense for you and your finances. Ask for a free auto insurance quote for a personalized plan to protect your purchase. Founders also offers low fixed rates for used vehicles, giving you an affordable fixed monthly payment. Visit one of our many convenient office locations or go to foundersfcu.com/auto to apply for an auto loan today or to see if you qualify for membership with Founders. Membership qualification required. See webpage for details.
The lottery is not about getting rich. It's about helping people, and it always has been. The lottery is what helped raise the Great Wall of China, build the roads of Rome, and today in South Carolina, it's what generates millions of dollars each year for scholarships like the SC Hope, Life, and Palmetto Fellows. The South Carolina Education Lottery is investing in you. Visit sceducationlottery.com/betteryou to learn more.
Just like in college basketball today, sometimes it's about who you bring in off the bench to provide that extra spark. At StraightUpSports.net, we're excited to announce the addition of Brett Friedlander, a longtime ACC insider columnist, to our all-star lineup that includes Bob Gillespie, Scott Kiefer, Mark Sturgis, and more. At StraightUpSports.net, it's always about the stories. Check out this all-star lineup at StraightUpSports.net or at Straight Up Sports on Facebook.
Effective training is not just about lifting heavier weight. It is about producing force with control. The Tsunami Bar was developed in 2012 to enhance high-intensity workouts while helping reduce joint stress. Its flexible design creates controlled oscillation, requiring your muscles to stabilize and work together throughout each movement. This promotes greater muscle activation, improved balance, and stronger functional performance. Tsunami Bar Sports is committed to continuous improvement, delivering dynamic training tools for individuals at every fitness level. Whether you are focused on long-term strength, injury prevention, or improving rotational stability for sports like golf, Tsunami Bar training supports total body performance. Discover more at TsunamiBarSports.com. Visit TsunamiBarSports.com. That's TsunamiBarSports.com.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. That's the sound of a big hit on you and your car or truck. I've been an attorney for more than 30 years, helping people who get injured in car wrecks and truck wrecks. If you have serious injuries, call Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968, or email me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. That's Corbett. I don't get paid unless I recover for you. Jim Corbett Attorney, for your best recovery from a big hit, 803-765-2968, or jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
Quick text message here from the 864. Chris comparing Will Wade and Nate Oates to slime balls is an insult to slime balls.
I agree.
I love it. Ole Miss is leading Texas 41-30 in the first half here, SEC tournament. Update the ACC in a moment, Jim Corbett in a moment, but here's a little Christopher Vezina as he met with the media just the other day, and talked about being the guy, having the chance to be the guy at Clemson, taking questions from the media.
So we'll just bring in your step when you came out here for that first practice, knowing that the coaches said, hey, you get that first shot at starting.
Yes, sir. Been really excited about it since January, and finally come out here, and I think that was practice 8. I mean, we've been flying around. Just really excited to get out with this group of guys. Like, when I think about it, these are all the guys that I came in with and kind of grew close to. So when I look out there, especially on the offensive line and the receivers, these are the guys I've been hanging out with freshman year. So just like the chemistry and everything, I've been really excited about. And then just the buy-in from everybody makes you really excited.
Obviously, you've been here for a while, but there's some word interchange. Kind of what makes you feel comfortable as far as the offense as being a good situation for you?
Well, it really started with the first day Coach Morris got here, him wanting to meet with me, and we probably in there for a couple hours, and he just really wanted to get to know me, which meant a lot in my journey so far. And right off the bat, after that, we started drawing up plays and getting it done, and started relaying it to the rest of the team. And so I just really appreciate him coming in with a fire, but also wanting to get to know all the players on the team. I think relationships go a long way, and Coach Morris is doing a great job of coming in here and wanting to get to know everybody from the seniors to the freshmen to the equipment staff. The equipment staff loves him and everything, so it's been cool to see.
How different is it with him, and especially with, that fiery attitude, his sense of urgency?
Yeah, that's what I love about him the most right now, is that he's coming out here and he's leading the way with the energy, and then it goes to me, and then it goes to the rest of the team. So he's, like I said, the relationships have gone a far way because he came in here like that, and I've been very excited every single day to see how we grow as a team and the energy he brings each day.
I guess, what's the biggest difference that you notice in offense with Chandler as opposed to, Garrett Riley?
I'm not going to say too much, but I like where we're headed. I like where we're putting ourselves in the position to score, and where we're putting our playmakers. That's been really cool to see the creative ways we can get our playmakers out in space.
All right, Christopher Vezina, all of it up on our website, SportsTalkSC.com, for your listening pleasure. At halftime, Florida State leads Cal 46-32 at the ACC tournament in Charlotte. Let's welcome in our buddy Jim Corbett, attorney for not just the Stars, but for you and me and everybody else out there who needs legal assistance. And Jim joins us sometimes to break down some of the rulings in our state, especially from the state Supreme Court. And, Jim, thank you very much. Got about 3 or 4 minutes here. What did you take away from this ruling today by the Supreme Court? What does it mean in regards to this case?
Hey, Phil, how are you? First off, breaking news. I've just been hired as Will Wade's new agent. Part of my compensation.
Good for you.
Part of my compensation is a free ticket to the LSU women's basketball watch party at the PBAC.
There you go.
What this means is that the Supreme Court is not going to hear the evidence in this case right now. They are the appellate body that hears cases that are brought up further. So if you remember, we talked a few months back why they were doing this. University found this might be their best forum to say, hey, this issue's been visited already. Remember when the Supreme Court ruled on the parking, or there was a ruling on the parking? This is the same thing. These suites are like parking. That was not part of these life scholarship deals. Again, full disclosure, my law partner is one of the people who has that life scholarship there. And George Lee and I went to law school together. But, George was brought into this DJ, this declaratory judgment action, because the university wanted a court to declare before anyone filed a lawsuit that no one could file a lawsuit. And that has been, the Supreme Court said they're not going to rule on that right now.
So where does it go next?
Well, they can, I don't know if the order says it was remanded down to the circuit court, which means it keeps its place in line, keeps its number, and it's up to the lawyers to schedule a hearing, or someone's got to file for it to be determined by a judge. It'll be at the circuit court level, which is the main trial court level in South Carolina. Civil cases over $7,500, criminal cases where jail time for more than a year can be imposed. And somebody's got to make a move. Now, George had said he wasn't going to file a lawsuit, according to the published reports. And the university obviously wants this decision decided sooner rather than later because they're going forward with their plans. And, if there are 200 people out there who have life scholars, who are life scholars, and they want to get the suites without paying $150,000, like you talked about a few months ago, that takes away a whole lot of income from the university.
Mm-hmm.
So they play this. Yeah. So they're going to want to get this thing determined.
I agree with the university's position that, those lifetime membership things, whatever, that should not apply to these suites. That's apple and oranges. So I get that. I understand. But from what George Lee said in this article and has said before, he, speaking for himself, has never wanted a suite. He just wants his basic seats, right? Kind of the seats he's had his entire time. That's basically what he's looking for, right?
That's what he says. Remember, those suites are taken out seats, and I don't know where his seats are. What happens when you displace people? My understanding is the people who are displaced by this go back in line when the first open seats come open. The first seats that come open when it's their turn to re-up to get tickets. But that could be in the upper deck instead of the club level area where they are now. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. They might offer them something different when it comes up, when they see what's happening. But those people who are being displaced, they may end up someplace way far away from where they were despite all those years. And, of course, the argument there is they haven't paid as much money as these people are now going to pay the money, but they have the longevity. The Gamecock Club and other clubs run on point system. So many points per dollar, so many points for a year of membership. So it's still got to play out. And those are things that will be presented to a judge who rules on this declaratory judgment just to kind of give a feel for the effect. If the court rules this way or rules that way, what's the effect of it?
Yeah. Well, I would think the university's got to honor that lifetime agreement thing and find them suitable, similar seats as similar as possible. Now, they shouldn't get the suites, but they should get their parking and they should get their, because they did this back in the time when they were trying to raise money. The university was trying to raise money to support their athletic program, and they both signed this in good faith. There should be some kind of good faith thing that falls into place here.
Good points. What is honor? What is suitable? The parking was not included. That's already been ruled on. That's the same parking. They get parking with it.
Yeah.
So, what people say, I'll settle. And the other side says, I'll settle. But they're not thinking the same thing.
Yeah. Hey, Jim, thank you very much. Let's keep in touch on this, okay?
I will. Thank you.
Thank you.
Funny
guy. Okay, Bergie. It's been a fun night, hasn't it?
It has indeed.
And we'll do it again tomorrow night. Yeah, we'll see if there's more Gamecock basketball to come after tonight. We know Clemson will. See you tomorrow.